The dusty winds of Zeta 9 kicked up as Commander Jaxon hardly trudged through the ancient ruins, his boots kicking up clouds of fine, silvery sand. He adjusted his helmet, wiping a bead of sweat from his brow with the back of his gloved hand. Despite the breathable atmosphere, the heat still clung to him like an overly affectionate ex. This planet wasn't exactly what he had expected when they'd charted the coordinates. Instead of a jungle full of vibrant alien flora, he'd landed on a dry, barren world of cracked stone and abandoned temples that looked like they had been forgotten by time, and possibly by common sense. Great! Another dead civilization, Jaxon muttered to himself, scanning the area with a handheld device. His voice echoed off the hollow stone walls. At least it'll make for a good story when I get back to Earth. I discovered the last remains of an extinct alien race, and didn't even get a decent souvenir. The ruins stretched in all directions, their grandeur long faded. Some of the carvings on the stone had been weathered beyond recognition, while others were eerily intact, depicting scenes Jaxon could only describe as mysterious and probably important. He had seen the maps and data. There were supposed to be traces of a highly advanced race here, a species that had supposedly vanished thousands of years ago. What exactly happened to them wasn't clear. Most of the reports just said, *big, mysterious extinction event. Too bad, so sad, *. Jaxon sighed. Running his hand over the dusty console, he'd found half buried under an ancient pile of what looked like decorative boulders. What was the point of exploring alien civilizations if all they ever left behind was a bunch of inscrutable ruins? Then, he heard something, a soft scraping sound like stones sliding against stone. A shadow moved in the corner of his eye. He froze. Now, that's either a really big lizard, or I've finally lost my mind, Jaxon said, squinting toward the source of the noise. He took a cautious step forward, his pulse quickening. But as his boots scraped the dry earth, the shadow moved again, this time clearly revealing itself as a figure. A humanoid figure, standing no more than 20 meters away. Jaxon blinked. The figure was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered faintly like it was made of some sort of bioluminescent material. It wasn't just the color that made it stand out, though. The creature's elongated limbs and delicate frame suggested a grace that was beyond human. The head was what truly threw him off. Oval in shape with a hint of metallic sheen to the skin, with large, glowing eyes that seemed to radiate curiosity rather than hostility. He couldn't help himself. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and guess you're not a local. The alien girl tilted her head slightly, her mouth opening in what seemed like an expression of surprise. She spoke, but her words were a sharp, rapid staccato that might have been beautiful if Jaxon had a clue what they meant. It was nothing like any language he knew. For a moment, Jaxon hesitated. He had studied dead languages, sure. Human ones, ancient ones. But this? No. This wasn't something his linguistics books had prepared him for. Hi. Jaxon tried again, unsure of what else to say. He felt ridiculous. Oh, great. Here I am, standing in the ruins of an ancient alien civilization, and the first thing I say to its last living member is hi. The alien girl blinked at him, her glowing eyes narrowing. A flicker of recognition passed over her face, but she didn't seem to understand his words. Instead, she raised her hand in a slow motion, almost like a greeting, though it also could have been an offensive gesture in her culture. Jaxon raised a hand as well, feeling a little more like an idiot with each passing second. He felt like he was playing some bizarre intergalactic version of Simon Says and desperately hoped he wasn't about to lose the game by offending her. Then something strange happened. The alien girl's expression shifted, her gaze softening. She stepped forward, her movements fluid and eerily quiet. She spoke again, but this time, there was a rhythm to her voice, a cadence that tugged at something deep within him. Words, ancient and beautiful, a dead language he had only read about in the oldest texts. Jaxon's heart skipped. No way, he whispered. He had heard this language before, albeit in dusty old books and ancient archives back on Earth. This wasn't just any language. It was the long-extinct tongue of a civilization once known as the Oryxians, a race that had disappeared centuries ago. Their rise and fall had remained a mystery to historians, with only cryptic fragments of their existence scattered across the galaxy. He blinked rapidly. Wait a second, you're speaking the Oryxian language? The alien girl stopped mid-step, and her large eyes locked onto his. She blinked once, then twice, as if processing his words. Then, as though she had just witnessed something so astonishing she couldn't help herself, she gasped. You speak the dead language of our ancestors? Her voice was soft, but the surprise in it made Jaxon feel like he had just been slapped in the face with a wet towel. Yeah? Jaxon answered, equally baffled. I mean, I read it. A bit. In textbooks. You know, the whole dead alien race thing. The alien girl's eyes widened further, and she took a step back, as if she were considering running for her life. Jaxon opened his mouth, ready to try again, but she spoke first, her voice now carrying more intensity. You speak it? Her tone was a mixture of awe and something else, something that made Jaxon uncomfortable. Impossible. The last of the Oryxians died millennia ago. Yeah, well, Jaxon said, rubbing the back of his neck. Seems like I'm a little special then. She narrowed her eyes suspiciously. And you come from where? Earth. You know, the third rock from the sun? He grinned, hoping to lighten the mood, though the whole situation felt increasingly surreal. But I'm guessing you're not from Earth? Huh? The alien girl just stared at him. For a moment, neither of them moved, the air heavy with unspoken questions. Jaxon broke the silence with a sigh. Look, I don't know what's going on here, but I can't be the only one who finds this really weird, right? And in that moment, both of them seemed to come to a mutual, unspoken understanding. This was only the beginning of something much bigger than either of them could have imagined. The secrets of the Oryxians, their ancient language, and their mysterious disappearance were just the tip of an iceberg they were about to dive headfirst into. The alien girl studied him for a few moments longer before nodding, a small, almost imperceptible smile crossing her face. Then, I suppose we begin with this. Who are you, human? And what do you truly know of the Oryxians? Jaxon's head was spinning. The alien girl, whom he still hadn't caught a proper name for, stood before him, her glowing eyes studying him with a kind of intensity that suggested he was an ancient artifact she had just unearthed. He shifted uncomfortably under her gaze, his boots grinding against the dusty stone floor. I'm starting to think you're either about to kill me or ask me to join your alien book club. Which one's it going to be? The girl blinked at him, confused, clearly not catching the reference. He sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. Never mind. So I speak your dead language, and that's surprising, I get it. But why is it surprising? Wasn't it your ancestors who spoke it? Don't you know it? She tilted her head, her expression a mixture of curiosity and disbelief, like she was considering whether to answer him or just run for the hills. The Oryxians, they vanished, she said slowly, as if the concept of extinction was a difficult thing to accept. Long before even our star was born, the Oryxians faded. Their language is a ghost now, nothing but forgotten echoes. Jaxon's brow furrowed. But hold up, if they're gone, how do you know the language? Her glowing eyes flickered, and she opened her mouth to speak, but then hesitated. She stopped herself and seemed to rethink her words. You have heard of the Oryxians, haven't you? Honestly? Jaxon let out a short laugh. I've heard of the Oryxians, but mostly in the mysterious dead race category. You know, the extinct part. He spread his hands in mock helplessness. No one ever told me their language was still. Well, alive, I guess. The girl shifted uncomfortably, but it wasn't embarrassment. It was something else, something more dangerous. You do not understand. The Oryxians, they were not simply a race. They were an idea, a force. They were everywhere. She let that last word hang in the air, as if it were both a warning and a promise. Whoa, okay, Jaxon said, stepping back. He threw his hands up in mock surrender. You're starting to sound like one of those the world is ending types. I just got here. Could you dial it back a bit? Her eyes, glowing ever more brightly now, narrowed. The Oryxians were the first to touch the stars, she continued, ignoring his attempt at humor. They crossed the void and spread across the galaxies. But then, They changed. They grew too ambitious, too proud. They wanted to control the universe. So they tried to harness the stars themselves. Jaxon crossed his arms. Harness the stars? That doesn't sound like a great idea. The girl nodded gravely. Exactly. They built machines that were supposed to make them immortal, make them gods. But instead, she trailed off, a flicker of something like guilt passing through her expression. Instead, the stars burned them. Right, because that's always how it goes, Jaxon muttered. Look, I'm not an expert in cosmic hubris, but even I know trying to become a god is a bad idea. The girl continued, her voice now tinged with something between sorrow and anger. The Oryxians vanished overnight. But their creations, those machines, remained. Long after they were gone, the universe trembled. What they created, it still sleeps. And that is why I am here. Jackson's stomach tightened. So, you're saying the machines are still out there? Waiting for someone to come along and wake them up? Not just someone, she said softly, her eyes flickering toward him again. You? Me? Jaxon blinked. Oh, come on. I just got lost on my way to the bathroom. And now I'm the chosen one or something. She tilted her head slightly. And this time, there was no humor in her expression. It is more than coincidence that you speak the Oryxian language, human. The machines they have been calling. And you have answered. Jaxon stared at her. This was too much. He was just a guy from Earth trying to explore ancient ruins, and now he was supposed to somehow save the universe? The whole thing was absurd. He needed a drink. I'm going to be honest, Jaxon said, running a hand through his hair. I thought I was here to find old ruins, not become part of some space opera. So, how exactly do I fit into this mess? The alien girl took a deep breath, as if steadying herself. You know the language, yes, but you also carry something the Oryxians could never have, human ingenuity. Their ambition was bound by their need for control, for power. But you have something else? She stepped closer, her presence both unnerving and oddly comforting. The Oryxians wanted to rule the stars. But your people, humans, they adapt. You learn. You grow. You change. Jaxon couldn't quite keep the sarcasm out of his voice. So what? You're telling me my people are better at not dying than yours? The girl's face softened, and for a moment, her expression almost seemed wistful. Not better. Different. The Oryxians believe they could control everything. But you, human, you do not seek to control. You seek to understand. Jaxon didn't know whether to be flattered or horrified. Right? Great. So, what? Now I'm the key to unlocking the universe or something. You're going to hand me a glowing artifact, and I'm going to save the galaxy, right? Her face became serious again. There are no artifacts. The machines I spoke of, they are not mere relics. They are alive, and they need to be controlled. If they wake up, they will destroy everything. Jackson's pulse quickened. And how exactly am I supposed to stop them? I don't exactly have a PhD in ancient Oryxian weaponry. She looked at him with something that bordered on admiration. You have the most important thing, human. You have choice. Your people are the last hope for what remains of the Oryxians. If the machines awaken, only you have the power to decide whether they rise or fall. Jaxon rubbed his temples, his head pounding. So, let me get this straight. I'm supposed to somehow stop an ancient, godlike race of machines from annihilating everything. And I have absolutely no clue how. Is that about the gist of it? The girl's eyes glowed brighter, and for a moment, she looked almost hopeful. Yes, but you are not alone, human. You have me. Great, Jaxon said straight-faced. A glowing alien girl and a whole lot of ancient problems. What could possibly go wrong? Her smile was small, but it was a smile nonetheless. Perhaps everything, but it is better than doing nothing. Jaxon sighed, looking out across the ruined city. Somehow, he felt like he was in over his head, but there was no going back now. The adventure had already begun, and it wasn't about to stop for anyone. Jackson's fingers drummed restlessly on the hilt of his blaster, the weight of the weapon offering little comfort as the alien girl led him through the ruins. The city, once vibrant, full of life, and now just a hollow shell of its former glory, seemed to whisper of long-forgotten tragedies. Every crack in the stone, every weathered glyph on the walls seemed to carry a silent warning, urging him to turn back. But the girl didn't slow her pace, and Jaxon, despite every instinct telling him to get out while he still could, followed. "Look," he said, breaking the silence, "I'm still processing the whole I'm the key to the universe's survival thing. Can we at least take a breather? Maybe sit down and have a nice chat about how this is all going to end horribly for everyone involved?" She glanced over her shoulder, her eyes glowing faintly. "You are human. Your kind always tries to find the humor in every situation." "Well," Jaxon said, squinting against the bright glare of the twin suns overhead, "humor is what keeps me sane in situations like this. Because let me tell you, standing here, talking about saving the galaxy with a woman who glows in the dark and thinks I can stop machines from destroying everything, feels a little surreal." The alien girl's expression softened for a moment, like she was caught between understanding him and dismissing him as a simple fool. "You will understand in time. The machines are not merely mechanical. They are living, breathing entities, born from the Oryxians' ambition." "So, not your average robot uprising?" Jaxon asked, waggling his eyebrows. "No good old-fashioned evil AI looking for world domination?" She didn't laugh. Not that he expected her to. "The Oryxians made them to be something more," she continued, "something beyond their own creators. The machines were designed to evolve, adapt, and improve. But when the Oryxians sought to control the stars, they lost control of what they had created. And now, the machines lie dormant, waiting for a signal, waiting for the right human." Jaxon stopped in his tracks. "Wait a minute. So, you're telling me that some cosmic fate, some preordained destiny, picked me to wake up these ancient killer robots? Why not some space monk or a badass galactic warlord?" The girl's gaze remained steady. "You misunderstand, human. The machines do not choose. They respond. Your kind, humans, are the ones who will decide the future. Will you harness the machines' power, or will you stop them?" Jaxon clenched his fists at his sides. This was a lot for one day. Hell, it was a lot for any given human to process in a lifetime. Yet somehow he was supposed to solve this. He was supposed to make the decision that could either save the galaxy or send it hurtling into destruction. "Great. Just great," he muttered, kicking a loose stone along the path. "How do you even stop a force like that? What exactly do you want me to do? Wave my hand and poof. No more world-ending death machines. We must go to the heart of the Oryxian Empire," she replied without missing a beat. "It is there that the control mechanisms lie. You will need to find a way to access them. And how exactly am I supposed to do that?" Jaxon threw his hands up in the air. "I'm not some galactic archaeologist with a map to the ancient doom switches. I'm just a guy with a blaster and a lot of questions." The girl didn't seem perturbed by his outburst. "You have more than that. You have the knowledge of the Oryxians' language. And you have a willingness to choose. Many would not dare. Many would not risk the chance to change the future." Jackson's face darkened. "Yeah, well, what if I don't want to change the future? What if I just want to get out of here, go home, and live my life without being some cosmic pawn in a war that's been dead for millennia?" She paused, her glowing eyes turning inward for a brief moment. "Then the machines will awaken, and they will choose for you. They will decide your fate and the fate of everyone you care about." Jaxon felt a chill creep down his spine. This wasn't some theoretical choice anymore. This was a real, raw decision. And whatever he chose, it would have consequences. The weight of the galaxy, or whatever remained of it, seemed to hang over him now. The girl seemed to sense his hesitation. "Do you not care for your people? For your home? What will become of Earth if the machines awaken? What will become of your world if the Oryxians' ambition is realized once more?" Jaxon didn't answer right away. He stared at the ruins before him. Could he really just walk away from this? Could he let these ancient machines rise again, knowing the damage they had done once and knowing they could do it again? His mind flashed to Earth, his family, his friends, the people he loved, the people he didn't know, even. Could he really let that future be destroyed because he couldn't figure out how to stop it? "I don't know what to do," Jaxon admitted, his voice quiet. The alien girl's face softened for the first time since their encounter. She placed a hand on his arm, her touch surprisingly warm despite her otherworldly nature. You don't have to know everything. Just do what you can. You don't need all the answers. You only need the courage to try. Courage? Jaxon let out a small, humorless laugh. If this is courage, then I'm the king of the universe. Right now, all I feel is panic and confusion. Her lips curved slightly. That is the first step. The Oryxians were too certain of their own power. They thought they could control everything. You, human, will learn what they never understood. You can never control everything. You must adapt. You must choose. Jaxon turned, looking at the girl. He saw her in a new light now. She wasn't just some alien guide with a mysterious mission. She was someone with her own pain, her own past, someone who carried the weight of her own failed civilization on her shoulders. They were in this together. He took a deep breath and nodded. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm not just going to let things go to hell. Not without trying. The girl's eyes shone with something close to relief, or maybe it was trust. Then let us begin, human. We will find the heart of the Oryxians. Together, as they moved forward into the ruins, Jaxon realized something. This wasn't just about stopping machines or ancient gods. This was about something bigger. A new future, maybe a future where humans didn't let the mistakes of the past decide their fate. A future where they could adapt and evolve, where they could learn from history, not repeat it. Or maybe it was all just another tragedy waiting to unfold. Only time would tell.